When you need her, she'll know what to do and she'll be there for you. Where you will lead her, there's nothing Adele couldn't think of to do. She's all you ever needed in the wrong situation. You're caught in the middle, no way of escaping. Till out of the blue she runs into you. There's nothing that she couldn't do. She's the travel counselor.
Oh, g'day, Leah.
Hi, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. How are you?
Yeah, I'm alright, yeah.
Yeah.
Getting along.
Have you had a good week?
Mostly, a few challenges, but that's why you're here, because I've got some challenges and stuff, so... I was pretty emotional when you left, obviously.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried about that, leaving you like that. How did you go? What did you do after that?
Not really proud of the fact, but I did have a drink.
Okay.
But I don't know, I was processing everything and so much was racing through my head that it got the better of me.
But it wasn't an easy session, was it? I mean, you were telling a complete stranger something pretty deep and personal, so I do understand that. But how much did you drink?
A whole bottle of scotch, so...
A whole bottle?
Yeah, I know.
So did your wife find you in a terrible state?
Well, I wasn't falling down, but it wasn't pleasant. I was a little bit untidy.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
It's alright, come on in.
All right, we're talking, sorry.
No worries.
Oh, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. So I'm really sorry that you had a bit of a, downward time when I left. That's why I asked you if you had someone to talk to or, but I don't want you to feel bad about yourself. These things happen, all right? Sometimes with counselling, I always tell everybody things can feel worse before they get better because we're opening up cans of worms.
Yeah, sure.
So that's not easy to do. So I don't want you to be tough on yourself. It happened, you're fine. Okay. All right? It's going to be a journey that you've only just started. But I will ask you, did you go to the doctor?
Yeah, I did.
That's awesome.
I didn't want to go the next day because I was a bit hungover and,
Fair enough.
I knew he'd take my blood pressure and give me a going over anyway type thing, so I sort of chilled at home that day and then I went the following day. So.
Okay. So what did the doctor say? You told him about the depression screen test?
Yes, I did. Yep.
Yeah.
Couldn't remember what it was called at the time. But,
that's all right. He would have figured it out.
He did. So, and told him about the results. He's sort of pretty much on the same path that you suggested, that it's something I do need to address going forward. So
good.
Hey.
Hey, how'd you go?
Yeah, well, just went and saw the doctor to get the results, and the test that I had, it's concluded that it is depression.
I guess now it all makes sense.
So did he give you some options on how to handle depression?
He did. I mean, I booked a double session so that I had time to talk, in detail instead of being sort of raced in, raced out.
Good.
And it was good because we did get to talk about options and stuff. He did mention medication.
Yeah.
I did mention that it was something that I would prefer not to use, but I took in mind what you'd said, that it might be just one of the strategies that we could use, maybe to take an edge off it, or off some harder times. But we're looking at physical activity. I always find that lifts me
Great.
up. You get that
Yeah.
runner's high, you know, I call it runner's high. So
all those good endorphins.
yeah.
kick in,
So
don't they?
yep,
Yeah.
you know, that's where I'm going to really focus. Particularly also ongoing work with you if
Yeah.
you're available. I would love to.
Absolutely, I am.
Awesome.
So you're going to be trying things the natural way. I can give you a lot of strategies. I'll give you a depression management plan.
Okay.
And that factors in, it kind of teaches you a lot about your body and your depression and how it affects you.
Yep.
And then I'll give you some strategies on the different types of things that you can try.
Yep.
Some things will work, some things won't work, some things might work for a short time, and then it's just a matter of you trialing everything,
Yeah.
and then you pick what works for
Okay.
you, and
Cool.
go through it that way.
Sounds good.
Yeah, awesome. All right. So your wife. Let's go to your wife first. I'm just a little bit worried about her reaction to finding you last week after the session.
Yeah, for her she was particularly annoyed with me because I've been drinking spirits. I don't normally. I normally drink beer and can moderate that better, being low alcohol percentage and stuff. So yeah, it knocked me around a bit because I wasn't not used to that alcohol level type thing. So she was pretty angry, and disappointed as well.
Yeah, and can I ask, when you get drunk, and I can't remember if you told me this last week, but do you get abusive with her?
No, I just become reclusive more than anything.
Okay.
So, I can be snappy, but it's more just leave me alone.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
All right, and do you have any support from parents as well? Like, are your parents around?
In my parental situation's complicated, so not really.
Okay.
Can I just show you something?
Yeah, sure.
Excuse me. Tick. So I probably should have mentioned this last week, but I'm not sure if it's actually relevant. Some people will say yes, some will say no. I'm adopted.
Oh, okay.
So, and
that is very relevant.
I know. I wasn't being deceitful or anything. It didn't sort of come up. So, and because it's something that I'm used to as being part of my life, it's not something I gravitate towards straight away in conversation.
Yep, sure.
So, complicated. I've got biological family and I've got adoptive family.
Right.
And all the relationships are challenging.
She's a travel counselor.
I actually saw this book. This was a book that my parents gave me as a child about adoption, and it was how you introduce it to children and stuff like that. So,
how old were you when you were told?
I've sort of always known. Yeah.
Okay, so they told you right early.
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense to me.
Well, I'm skeptical about how adoption often leaves people feeling, but that is the right way, in my opinion, that you always tell them that.
Now, I know this is going to sound a little bit negative, but researchers are saying that being adopted is very similar to being a traumatic experience, because a primary carer, which is mum and dad, normally is what really offers that security to very young children, and when that's been broken in some way, it really unsettles young kids. So what happens to you in your early childhood really affects you in your adulthood. So I don't know what your relationship was with you were adopted out with, and so depends how that relationship went as well. It's all going to make things are going to be falling into place, I think.
Yeah, and I think going forward, discussing stuff with you, you'll probably hear things that I say that will make sense to how I feel, even though I think I'm rational and I can say, well, I've processed that and I'm all right with that.
Yeah.
But hearing that, talking about trauma and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure I'm going to discover that might be a bit different to how I.
And the whole, when you said you found attachment really difficult, and kind of not feeling, a lot of people who've been adopted say they don't feel like they've got a place with anyone. They just kind of don't feel settled. They don't feel that real strong sense of belonging.
Yep.
And not everyone, of course.
No.
But it's very common, and this kind of makes sense. It seems that that's what's happened to you.
It totally makes sense. I do know friends that adopted, had great families and so forth, and they feel a sense of place.
Yeah.
And I struggle I know I struggle to have a sense of place.
Right. Okay. So tell me about the book.
Okay, so the book was something that it's written for children and also for children, and it was basically just, it's a way of helping kids and parents discuss the issues of adoption.
Right.
And so it came from a really good place with mum and dad, and it was a very, it was easy for me to understand how I came to be part of this family because of this book, and that's what it does.
Right.
But and yet, you know, all that, and I had all that always knowing and so forth, and yet still something's not quite right.
So Liam, something I want to tell you. I've been meaning to tell you for some time. I feel now you're old enough. But I thought maybe it would be easier if we read this book together first. It might just help explain things. There's this part I really like that I want to share with you. So this is about a man and a woman who couldn't have children, and they decided, because they really wanted one, that they'd adopt. And this is when they've got to the place to adopt the baby. The sister picked you up and held you out to me. I took you in my arms, and I didn't quite know how to hold you, and sister showed me. All I could think of asking right then was whether I could please be the one to carry you out to the car. So, Liam, this is your story. This is what happened to you. We adopted you. But you need to understand that doesn't change anything. We love you so much. So grateful to have you in our lives. You just needed to know. Liam? How do you feel?
And I remember when they finished reading it, and I thought, it all makes sense.
Okay. Did you think the book was helpful at the time?
At the time I did.
Yeah. So they handled it well, the way they explained it to you.
Yeah, they did, yeah.
Was it a nurturing experience for you?
It was.
Yeah.
And my brother being adopted as well, I got to then see them go through the same process with him and see how careful they were with handling the subject.
Right.
But, you know, as I said, finishing the book, even though I had all this love, I think from that moment, that was when I really not felt disconnected, but felt that I'm from somewhere else.
So it reinforced that feeling for you?
It did.
Because you've always felt it, but this just put it into place for you?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you remember what you were thinking or feeling at the time besides that, in addition to?
I do remember partly thinking how well they'd handled it, like they did, like that always knowing was the right way to go. But then I just, in some ways it just started highlighting the differences between us, character-wise, you know, nature-nurture type thing. I wasn't processing it like nature-nurture when I was like 4, but why was I so different to them? Like, up until not long ago, I was outspoken about how I felt and, you know, happy to be open. And that wasn't the way Mum did stuff. Mum was always, you know, we don't talk about this.
Right.
Very much that old Australian attitude of what might the neighbours think, you know, if they heard us arguing or stuff like that.
Right.
So it was, she was like repressing everything in that regard, like you don't talk about stuff. And I've always been outgoing and stuff like that. And since then, I mean, that's how
Yeah, okay, yeah. No, I understand what you're saying, where you're coming from. So your relationship with your adoptive parents was good?
There was love. I felt loved.
Okay, good.
I was close to my dad, not with my mum, because of that attitude. We clashed because, you know, I wanted to talk about things. I like to be upfront and stuff. And
Yeah.
she's not, or she wasn't. And
She was
so,
more closed.
yeah. you know,
Yeah.
and
What about with your brother? Were you close with him?
in our childhood, really close, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, really
Yeah.
close. It was, my fondest memories are our holidays and doing stuff together. And, you
So
know,
you did a lot of family things together.
yeah, we really did.
Yeah.
She's the travel counselor.
It sounds like your parents tried so hard to form that connection.
They did, and we had it. The hard part though with Mum was that, you know, I always knew that we were, at least I, was second fiddle type thing.
Mum, Dad's telling me to clean my room.
Well, you do what your father says.
Why are you always taking his side?
Don't always take his side, but your father comes first. I loved him before I loved you.
And I thought, how could you say that to a child?
Right.
You know,
So
like,
even that young, you felt that.
it cut me like that. I was like, oh, okay, so no matter what, even when I'm right, I'm going to be second, you know.
So it sounds like it kind of confirmed your feeling of not being connected. Is that right? Am I understanding that correctly?
At that point, I actively allowed myself to think that way. Stuff you know.
Okay.
You know, if you're going to be like that, then what are we doing with this relationship?
Right. Okay. So tell me about then. Did you ever meet your biological mother?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I did. I tried calling her on my birthday when I was about 19 or 20, and I couldn't talk to her. Like, she just answered the phone, and I mean, I didn't even know if it was her. She
Right.
lived in another place, and so I just let it go. And then when I was 40, I sort of built up the courage to do it again. I've got a really good relationship with my biological paternal family, but yeah, I feel like I craved this mum thing. So when I was 40, I finally built up the courage to try and contact her, and I didn't know where she lived, but I knew that some of her family still lived in a particular town, so I sent an uncle a letter. Older, I didn't know if he had an email or not, so I sent him a letter, outlined everything, and him being a country gent didn't really process it that well. He's very old school, so he handballed it to his sister, who then contacted my biological mother.
Right.
Went from
So
there.
that uncle
Mhm.
is the brother of your biological mother.
Correct,
I
yep,
just want to
yep.
make sure I've got the right
Yeah, yeah.
family happening.
Yeah,
Yep. Okay. All right. So then you met your mum at 40.
Yeah, it took a bit of time. We
Yeah.
I put on the letter an email address saying, if you want to do it this way, this is fine. If you want to, and she actually emailed me back, and we had an email relationship for
Okay.
a couple of a month or two type thing, and then I asked if I could ring her, hear her voice,
Yeah.
and she's very reticent, but eventually said yes. And yeah, we had that, and that was nice. It was sweet. So we had then a phone relationship for a couple of months.
Oh, good. So you kind of weaned yourself into the relationship.
Yeah, it was more for her. I was desperate to connect as
Yeah.
much and as quickly as possible, but she was not. She was struggling with it and had struggled.
Okay.
Had struggled with.
So you
everything.
were very open with it, but she was a little bit more closed.
Very
with it.
close, yeah. And I was just trying to respect that by giving her as much
Yeah.
space as she needed. It was like walking on a tightrope all the time for me. It was a
Right.
really hard period because it was exciting, but
So you had to pull
I
back.
had to pull back.
Oh, that must have been really hard for you.
It was challenging, but worthwhile when we finally met. So
Yeah.
that wasn't the only wonderful experience I had though. With meeting family. Like when I was 19, I got engaged to my wife, and she sort of nagged me a little bit, going, you really should follow up on this, because I felt, even though I had some conflicts with my adoptive mum, I still felt like this was my family and stuff like that, and didn't really feel the need to chase up another family. But my wife convinced me. She said, look, if one day we ever had kids, it would be, you know, it'd be handy to know if there's any health issues within the families and stuff like that. We followed up. We went through the Catholic Family Welfare Bureau, which was dealing with the adoption process. I had to be interviewed to make sure that I was sound and stable enough to do it. So, you know, I went through that process, and then I received information about my family, which contained only my maternal family information. And the only thing it had about my father was deceased MVA, motor vehicle accident.
Sad.
Yeah, it was. So I sort of wanted to find out more about that because I had some information about my mum. So we knew the area that this sort of happened. So my wife and I went to the local library. We went through all the microfiche stuff, whatever it is, the old fashioned thing. And we knew the time period that he must have died, and we knew how. And we came across something, we had no name, and we came across something that had a motor vehicle accident a couple of days before Christmas, and in the right place, the right town, at the right time. So, and it had like an obituary and other stuff attached to that, and a funeral notice. So it said, oh, you know, the wake will be at the house of blah, 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 and it gave who I didn't know, but assumed might be my grandparents. Yeah. So I was 19. The young man that died in this accident that we were following up was 20, so we're pretty much the same age. And we went to the address.
Hello.
Hello. I'm Liam.
Yeah.
Are you Irene?
Yeah. That's right.
Do you have a son named Jonathan?
Yeah.
Do you know who I am?
Liam?
Liam. Yeah, that Liam. You okay?
Yeah. Wait here a moment. Wait. Hold on.
Dad?
Yes. Oh, Liam.
You know, and
What an
she was
amazing
there.
moment for both of you.
So much so that I don't remember what really happened after that. Like in like action sports, they have a thing called sensory overload. So lots of people do their first parachute jump, and they don't remember the first 3 or 4 seconds because the brain's just gone too much and just turns off type thing. Not off, but you know.
Yes.
And I had that for the rest of the day. I luckily my wife was very switched on and sort of was taking mental notes of all the conversations.
Yeah.
I can't tell you anything else that was said. I was so blown away to see basically a mirror of myself, and then secondly to have this great reception. You know, she rang her daughter and said, "You've got to go around there. They want to see you." And then I went to their place, and all my cousins looked like me, and I've never had that.